not easy to be the last panel during the day, and especially coming after the all-women powerful panel and coming after that lovely poetic end to the panel discussion. Thank you. So I think you did us a favor. I think a lot of people were still awake, and they did not leave the house. Thank you. How's the Josh, by the way? Good, good. Good to see. So as Alok has just said, we have half an hour. I'll try to keep our discussion crisp and along with our fellow panelists as well. We'll try to finish in 20-25 minutes, and last 5-10 minutes, I would actually go on your side and involve you and ask questions to this esteemed panel. Not every day you'll get such people to answer your questions, so please be ready. And like we started during the day, we started with some exercises, physical. Let's do quick one, a mental exercise. So if you have read today's paper, can I just ask quickly from the audience, how many cities did Zomato has decided to come out of India in last few years? It's today's news. 225. Bang on. So I'll see if we can get some prize for you. If not, the top retail minds something for you. Thank you. So now to get you started, now that we have everybody's attention, I won't take long to introduce panelists. So quickly, starting from Vijay, a quick introduction about you and your company in a minute. I know and we have got 3 founders here, and founders are very passionate about their businesses. So I would request them to be a bit crisp because we would want to have more time on the discussion. Thanks.
Love you guys and wish you a very happy Valentine's Day. You must be wondering what's a founder speaking about love, because that's the basis of our entire organization, love. Love for plant, animal, and human beings. I'm the founder and CEO of Darby, Responsible Menswear. We are headquartered from Chennai. We have a brand called as Darby Jeans Community. We believe that customers are the center of all our attention, and it's a vertically integrated organization. We run over 50 exclusive Darby stores in Tamil Nadu. Tamil Nadu is the market that we have selected, and the vision that we have is styling Tamil Nadu for success.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Deepak Rasam. I'm a CFO for Madover Donuts. MOD is currently present at 130 locations and in 7 states.
Hi, I'm Kuntal. My background is actually in AI and data, and I've been in a lot of consumer businesses. I today run a company called Style Nook, which makes it easy for women to find clothes they love by using algorithms and a human stylist.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Agnes Raja. I run a women's wear brand by the name Demosa. It's an exclusive women's fashion bottom wear brand. We started in 2016. Before that, I was heading the buying, merchandising, strategic role in large corporate houses. Been running Demosa the last 6 years. We have about 60 exclusive stores, plus 700 plus shop-in-shop retails. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. So the topic we are discussing today is remodeling the retailer's role for current times. Retail is a pretty big industry in India, around about $900 billion. There are various categories within retail. Food is the biggest category, almost 65% of shares. So we have representation from the food industry. Madover Donuts is here. Then comes fashion as a category, which is almost 8 to 9% of the share in retail, around $80 billion in the country, followed by gems and jewelry and all. We have got 3 representatives from the fashion industry here. So almost 70% of the retail is covered here. We all know the industry has gone through tough time, overall retail industry due to the pandemic. And that's why this topic, on the remodeling of the retailer's role for the current time. So first, I would like to throw a common question to each one of you. Considering what has happened in the last 3 years, what has changed for you, for your category, and for your specific company as a business? And what have you learned, and how have you evolved, and how are you planning for the coming time? So again, I'm saying 3-4 minutes each, starting from Vijay. You.
In 2020, we slept to a world, and we got up to a brand new world. I mean, things changed overnight. We've seen the pandemic, something that humanity has not changed, a global lockdown, and a lot of threat to human beings, as well as a deep understanding that climate change is real, and we need to take some action towards it. So that was a wake-up call for us. In fact, I don't know how many of us understand that garment is the second most polluting industry in the world after oil and natural gas. So I started asking myself this question: are we doing the right stuff? How are we going to face the upcoming challenge of climate change? So that's why we redesigned the entire brand into Darby Responsible Menswear. Responsible itself means responding with ability. So we asked ourselves this question: how are we going to respond to the current situation and be a serving human being? So can we be human? Can we start loving not only other humans, but also plant and animal? And what can we do in terms of every aspect of business in the entire supply chain? How can we bring in a little more sustainability? I'm not saying we are a sustainable brand, but we are a responsible brand. So we took the entire business model back to the drawing board, looked at how we need to deliver our products and services, how can we be more effective, how can we reduce a carbon footprint, how can we improve the entire experience for a customer, and can we put human emotions ahead of profits. So that's what we did. Having said that, 2 years, the COVID was not easy. We had to shrink our entire turnover. Close to about 50% of our retail stores shut down. So we had to remodel the whole system, but that gave us an amazing opportunity of deep introspection. It gave us time to stop, look back at what we were doing, and how we can do internal processes and improvement internally. And believe me, in the last 3 years, the type of growth that we have seen post that has been phenomenal, not only in terms of top line, but also in terms of bottom line.
Hi. When pandemic hit us, we were predominantly present in the mall stores. We were quick to realize that, the situation is not going to get normalized anytime soon. With 30% of the high street store to operate, our biggest challenge was to get the people back to the stores, People were so scared that they were not willing to come to the stores to get to the work. Having said that, we convinced their families, got them on the board. The biggest another challenge was, the landlords were not willing to compromise on the rentals. We had to decide, whether to continue with the stores which were bleeding. We took a call of shutting 50% of a high street store at that point of time. The decision, we were not sure whether it would be going in our favor or not, but we took it with wholeheartedly. With limited number of stores available, reaching the masses was not possible for us. That's where we decided to switch to cloud kitchen formats. We tied up with various cloud kitchen partners during that time. Within very short period of time, we developed our presence on the digital platform. Cloud kitchen has not just helped us to generate a better revenue, but it has also helped us to increase our visibilities on the digital platform. Today, MOD is present at 130 locations, of which 62 are through cloud kitchens. Our revenue pre-COVID has increased over and above with the pre-COVID situations, and today we are doing double-digit triple SG. We will continue to expand in the similar format in both the phygital model and digital first will be our focus going forward. I'm really proud to say that MOD is also India's biggest donut chain today. Thank you.
Hi. So for us, we're an online, 100% online. So in that sense, there should have been no impact of the pandemic. But for us, it was very dramatic because in 2019 and just prior to the pandemic, we were a workwear-only brand. So we would supply clothes for working women. Once the pandemic hit and everybody was at home, there was no need for these working women to get clothes. And so that was a big question, that what is it that we're exactly going to do? Plus the entire angle of hygiene, sending packages across, all of that was something that we had to deal with. But I think the biggest question that we had was that what exactly are we going to supply to our customers? And I know it sounds crazy at this point, but we moved to pajamas. We literally were featured in a lot of different magazines and newspapers where it went from power suits to pajamas. But we did that because, we didn't want to lose relevance. We didn't want to lose our customers. We didn't want them to forget about us. And so we had to actually do that. And slowly we started shifting our message because we realized that our customers and other customers want us to service them for clothes outside of just work. So we had to shift our supply chain, look at different vendors, and obviously we toned down on the pajamas and the workwear, workout wear post the pandemic. But we kept our supply chain flexible. I think today we're kind of back to where we used to be. But I think there's one fundamental impact of COVID, at least, which doesn't get talked about as much, but I think we see it and we talk about it a lot in the fashion space. Thanks to social media, thanks to the influencers, the communities that are out there, right? Women are now far more aware of the fact that they can get something that makes them look good. There is the option to experiment. They should experiment. They should try stuff out, which means as a brand or as a fashion retailer, you have to be ready for changes that can come your way, or you have to be ready to provide those kind of changes. And I think the most fundamental one that we have been able to institutionalize within the company is not just the processes, but the culture. You know, today, when we think about a new initiative or an experiment, it's very rare that the team will push back. In fact, they will say, go ahead, see if the demand comes in, we'll deal with how to meet this demand. But first focus and see if the demand comes in. So I think that agility, that culture shift is what we've managed to kind of bring in, and that allows us to be experimental and innovate very quickly.
Thank you.
Yeah, so the last 3 years has been challenging for all of us. The first thing what we realized when during the first lockdown, we know who are really passionate and who really value emotions. It could be from the customer side, supplier side, including our real estate partners. We had about 14 stores. By 4th month, we dropped down to 8 stores. And most of them are malls. There are people who stood by us, okay, we will with you, we will support you, whatever way we wanted. We kind of held on the fort and then thought back. And of course, we were a digital company from beginning. All our processes were completely online. There is no need to come to office for work except some of the government technician which we need to work. And we said, how can we bring it better? So we got into producing masks and what are the products which are necessary, and got into the trade which is what was required. At the same time, we also discovered a great market opportunity which is called neighborhood market. We were mostly present in high streets and malls. We were never present in neighborhoods. So there are some stores close to our office shut. We said, okay, we have stock in the warehouse. Why can't we try it out? It's a very low cost store. That store has become profitable from the day one. It's actually become a high opener for us. The product like us, we deal with everyday essential wear for women. Of course, mostly legging, all innerwear, basic casual wear. So of course, all-in was booming. This neighborhood market actually gave us a huge scope. And within a matter of 6 months, before the wave 2 hit in, we opened 14 stores in Bangalore, in one city. And all of them today are profitable, and 80% of the stores are actually break-even in 8 months. That's a power in the neighborhood market. Now we are actually taking that model and scaling up across cities, because while we have digital-first economy and market is evolving, there are certain customers who still want to buy quick. They want something very immediately. They just come to walk to nearest neighborhood market and then shipping. That's the biggest eye-opener for us. Of course, we are spending across all format of retail, and opening neighborhood super fast, small format retail is actually one of the big change maker for us. Along with that, our expansion through our large format retailers who opened in across Tier 1, Tier 2, Tier 3 cities, where our brand is evolving very fast, where demand is being accepted. Customer today understand what is quality, what is fashion, why should I make the price, because everything is, customers well educated today with all the social media platforms available. I think this is the biggest opportunity for as a retailer to learn how to communicate, how can we present closer to the customer.
Thank you. So audience, once I listen, I ask them the same question, that COVID or the pandemic threw same challenge to everybody. And if you have heard, the response from each one of them, 3 of them are primarily offline businesses, 50% drop in sales. The businesses can go out, can go bust, with that kind of impact. But still, they were able to survive. So same challenge, but everybody see different kind of opportunity. So Vijay with his company Darby, he saw environmental or a sense of responsibility when you look inwards, that as a key thing, which they could leverage on. Deepak talked about new format, cloud. They came up with a totally new format on the cloud. Now almost 40-50% of the business is based on that format. They were forced to think of that format. Kuntal just shared, that she pivoted her business from workwear to style, and it's a totally pivot changing of the business. And as Agnes also shared, new format, neighborhood stores. The power of offline retail. So same challenge. When you look inwards, different solutions, which worked, and all of them, are winners today. That's why they're sitting here on the stage. So well done, everyone. And that's what you call remodeling based on the circumstances you face. And that's what retail is. I personally believe retail is a business of internal efficiencies. In a country like India, we almost all the segments are growing. Our economy is expected to grow for next 7% for next decade. Morgan Stanley says this is going to be India's decade. Demographic dividend is there. We have people. So it's all about, on the demand side, there are not many challenges. It's the internal efficiencies. That's why a DMart is valued at whatever they are, and the company which started the modern retail future group is where they are today, right? So it's all about when you look inwards, and that's what they did. They look inwards. They were forced. The challenges were there. So that's what you can learn in terms of remodeling your businesses. So coming to you, Kuntal, I think we have been hearing right from the start. I think there are key trends we have heard during the day. Things like technology, use of technology. It's quite there. Circularity is there. When we D2C brands impact is there. So a lot of things we have heard about the use of technology, AI, chat GPT, and all throughout the day. I think in every panel, somebody or the other touched upon that. Customer experience is another one. So how do you think technology, in your experience, because you've worked and played around with it a lot, how it has panned in recently, how it might disrupt, especially the fashion sector or overall retail, and how do you see, you or the brands, they can cope, or what they need to do, to cope with those disruptions?
Sure. So I think, first of all, there's a lot of hype and buzz around ChatGPT. It is superbly exciting, there's no doubt. But there's going to be some fallouts. There's going to be some, interesting developments that will happen. What I think it does, though, is prove to everybody how AI is here, how much can be done. And it's time for people to start thinking about what is it that I can do with this technology in my business, and what is it that I can do day in and day out. I think from an online and even an offline perspective, the biggest problem or the biggest challenge that most brands and retailers are going to face today is what the consumer faces, and that is the problem of plenty, or what is known as the paradox of choice. We've moved as a country where about 10, 15 years ago, you would have a few brands to choose from. You've now moved to a spot where there are hundreds, 200 plus, there are like 5,000 plus brands, if I'm not mistaken, just for women. I think if I add men, kids, accessories, that number blows up, right? Just within every single brand, even your brands which are sustainable, a lot of them, they have no option but to introduce products, new styles every season. Seasons are not 4 seasons anymore. They're known as micro seasons. Most brands have like 12 seasons at least. A lot of them have far more. So now you imagine the number of options that a user has, and what is it that the user will go for? How does a user figure out what they want? And what can brands do to assist that user to get to the product of his or her choice? Otherwise, it's a lost opportunity. I think that's where a lot of technology will go in, right? That's where a lot of technology has been focused on. If you look at your virtual trial rooms, they're all about how do you figure out what's going to work for you. What I think is the most fascinating aspect of technology today and for the next 4 to 5 years is how accessible all of this will become for brands regardless of their scale. I think my favorite example is Shopify, right? I don't know how many people use Shopify out here if you're a brand or a retailer, but if you use Shopify and you just see the apps that are out there, it's unbelievable. Back in the day, to develop some of the recommendation algorithms that are now available for free or with like a minuscule cost of I think 1,500 rupees per month, you actually are able to now generate recommendations for your consumers to act upon. You can actually create sets, you can create styling recommendations for your consumers to act upon, right? So I think that is the role that technology is playing, where it's making a lot of aspects that used to be available only to big retailers, to massive brands, it's making it accessible to everyone. I think that's what you have to leverage. I think that's what retailers and brands have to leverage as far as technology is concerned.
Thank you. Thank you, Kuntal. Another important aspect is changing consumer behavior. I mean, we have heard during the day, Gen Z, Gen Y, and the consumer behavior is constantly evolving, use of technology is increasing. So in your view, Vijay and Deepak, I mean, how do you think consumer evolving in your categories, and how are you planning in your businesses to cater to those demands of the changing consumer or evolving consumer?
See, the younger crowd are more, interested in ordering online. They are most of the time on the phones. They want just-in-time delivery. Their preferences has changed. The customization has become a key today. They are looking for, various preferences in their trend. The food presentation become a key, although it was always important. But people eat first through their phone, and then they taste the product. That's how it has become. So that is one of the important aspect of the business that has changed over a period of time, and it is also challenging because with delivery becoming the critical part of a business, delivering nicely presented food is a big challenge for any brands. For us, we do the delivery through aggregators who really don't care, how the food has been delivered. And by the time the food reaches to the customer, it is in such a condition that, they don't like it. And, we lose such customers. They are not going to come back because they are not happy with it. So these are certain challenges that we are facing. Again, the today's generations are focusing more on health. Vegan, sugar-free is something that is in the trend nowadays. So these are certain challenges that we are coming across, and yeah, we are on it. We are with the trend. MOD does not serve any preservatives or artificial color in the foods. We are focusing on vegan and sugar-free. Should be there in time soon. We do hear our customers also. We had recently launched brownie some time back. It was just a plain brownie in the shelf that we had kept, and we got so many customers requesting, why don't you top it up? Why don't you top it up? The donuts have been so nicely topped. Why a brownie cannot be topped? Today we are selling brownies with the flavors suggested by our customers. That's how the customers has evolved over a period of time, and you have to be with them on this.
Have you got some samples for us today?
Okay. Sometimes sitting back in your office, sitting back in your boardrooms, we start looking at customers, consumers as statistics. I'd like to take the more humane or human approach towards them. I believe first customers are human beings. They have emotions, they have feeling, and the first thing that they want to be seen, they want to be respected, they want to be understood, and that's the change that we're bringing about in our stores. So we very clearly tell our entire store team, stop selling, start serving. Can we stop serving our customers? Can you take a moment to step back and understand why he's walked into your store? What is the occasion he's come for? Is he come for a marriage? Is he come for an interview? What is the occasion he wants to get dressed? Understand his wardrobe. Understand him better. Then you can go about suggesting what is going to help him. Second, you also have a courage sometimes to tell him this brand will not suit you, because not necessarily every customer who walks into your store is going to fit into what you have. The courage to tell this brand will not suit him and guide him to the nearest store or the nearest brand that you know will suit him. I think that is what the shift we are seeing, and that's the type of change we want to bring in retail. Stop selling, start serving, understand the customer, and the team itself is styling Tamil Nadu for success. So how can we make our customers successful? How can we understand them better, deeper at a human level, and develop bonds of trust and the oneness of our community where they believe in us, and that is the best. Word of mouth is the best form of advertising. In fact, we don't spend any money on digital advertising. Everything that we do is organic, And Darby Men, Instagram, we've grown it from 12,000 followers to over 100K followers purely on organic by just showing what we do at our stores and how we do it.
I can feel the passion, the way you are talking. Yeah. So as he said, I mean, they're primarily offline business, and without a single penny spent on performance marketing, they've still been able to grow and bring customers, to their offline stores. So very interesting. So as I said, I mean, I'll try to wrap up quickly and invite questions. So I would encourage you to ask questions. I have few more, but I will only use them if not many are coming from your side.
I would like to ask you, Mister. Sorry, I do not know your name. You mentioned that the agility to open in neighborhood, right? It's successfully. My question is, what is the best marketing communication, the most effective and efficient ways to communicate to the neighborhood? Thank you.
That's a very tough question to answer. See, let me just explain what is neighborhood market is. See, we all know shopping malls, we all know high streets. See, if you take Mumbai is a very good example of a great neighborhood market. So I've been living on and off Mumbai. I've seen very few successful malls in Mumbai. I think hardly 3 good malls in Mumbai, all of Mumbai. But every single market in Mumbai is very buzzing, very activating. So I stay near Lokanwala. There are 2 good markets close to me. One is Lokanwala market and there is a Irla market. Lokanwala is also women because I sell women's wear. Both the markets are buzzing with women's of all grades. It's not that it's only for low class, it's only for high class. All grade customers come there. So when I spend a lot of time and talk to some people, everybody felt it's very close. Whenever we want to buy, we can go and shop. It's the same thing which we found when we based out of Bangalore. That's the first step. Few brands, local MBO brands which have started selling, they were doing very well. That's how we started a small 150 square foot shop in neighborhood market. So the marketing, what we need is just opening up a store in the neighborhood itself is a first marketing because you have plenty of customers coming there, coming to buy vegetables, coming to buy some basic essential. Every day evening walking, 10-15 minutes, entire neighborhood come to that market. That's the first market, open nice store. Second, have a micro marketing. Micro marketing, I mean, do a door-to-door pamphlet issuing, do campaigning in the neighborhood societies. This is the kind of marketing what we've done. We've not done any ATL because you don't need a big marketing. That's what it's all about. Thank you.
Can I just add to what Agnes said? I think Vijay also answered that question. I think the best way to market is to understand and serve your customer. As long as you're serving your customer, and that's what we all felt during COVID, those neighborhood stores, especially the grocery stores, stores where we buy from, they were able to serve us better. They knew customers by name, they were quick, and they, during those tough times, they worked hard, those times as well. So I think understanding the customer and serving the customer, having that attitude, there's nothing better, no better marketing than that. And then to add to what he said, hyper local, and all those other means are always there. The gentleman had a question.
Yeah. Hi, this is Josefa Merchant from Instinct Shop Fittings. I'd like to prop up my question with a small example first to prop it up, if that's okay. So our branch in the US works very strongly with pop-up retail, right? And there are brands which are opening up pop-up stores, almost 2,000 pop-up stores every year just for an occasion like Halloween. Now, my question in this regard, and we work with these brands, so the question with this regard is that when you look at a market like India, right, and brands like yourself, especially brands like Darby, where do you see the role of pop-up or occasional retail or pop-up retails and how they work? Do you believe that a market like India is particularly ready for pop-up in all its glory? And where would you slot it in your retail strategy going forward if you feel that it is relevant today? I mean, it's for all the retailers, but how do you go about?
Thank you. So we don't do much of pop-up, but if we need to implement the pop-up strategy, it'll be a great testing ground to test new markets. Before you get into a new market and you want to invest big time money into it, it would make sense to do a pop-up store to study the customer preferences, the customer feedback. I always believe in the design thinking philosophy in anything that we do. Before you invest anything big, can you actually co-create the whole experience along with the customer? Because one thing I've realized, India is not one market, but India is probably about 2,000 different markets, 2,000 different countries put together. And every market, every store, even if it happens to be within the same city, has a different customer experience and a different customer requirement. So the pop-up stores will effectively be very impactful when we change territories and go to new territories. We're still not doing it because we're in our comfort zone. But once we get into newer markets, we'll definitely try pop-up to understand the market feedback, to understand the customer preferences, and probably co-create the whole experience along with the customer, and also customize the product range to their requirement.
Yeah, just to add, actually we've started pop-up during COVID. So it was actually just when the shopping opened, we went to societies because what we had, fortunately we had the products, what is required for during lockdown. We had a lot of loungewear, we had a lot of athleisure range, and then we have kidswear as well. So we did a pop-up store. In a lot of apartments, it was very good, successful. Then we actually taken on that concept. Even today, we keep doing it. We call it a sale on wheel. We created a modular Tata Ace, which is actually, it's a kind of a delivery come sale vehicle. So during, when there is no sale, it uses delivery vehicle. During sale period, we just keep open all the doors. It kinds of create a modular shop. Unfortunately, there are certain challenges which we face in India because of the GST complications. So we are a private limited company. Still in GST, there is no provision for you to take additional piece of business for doing pop-up sale. So we have to rely on some third parties to do our sales. Because for every place we have to put up a sale, we should have a GST registration if you are doing directly through the company. So now we figured a way around, so now we do it through different third-party agencies. They have that licensing, they take care of all the authorities aspects. Of course, now the flea market, pop-up store is all getting back in shape after 2 years. I'm seeing a lot of gala areas happening. But retailers has to think innovative, and I'm also seeing a lot of D2C brands actually coming and putting up stalls in the pop-up and this flea market to create more awareness, connect with customer very closely.
Thank you very much. I might have a solution for you. Maybe we'll connect offline. Sorry, somebody was saying something.
Yeah, I was trying to say, I think, there are a few examples of pop-ups in India because the nature of market in the Western world is quite different. Retail, it's almost 80% organized. Here, it is totally reversed. It's almost 80% unorganized retail. So in my view, a pop-up store is also what we see, at least in North India, Mangal Bazaar, Budh Bazaar. They come up, make a store and then they go back. So it's pretty often, but the TG is different. They are catering to the needs of a certain set of consumers. So yeah. Any other question?
Hello to all the panel members. My question is that seeing the rising trend in property prices, especially in the metro cities in India, can we make a prediction that going forward, other than D2C and online marketplaces, other types of business models might become redundant or very cost ineffective because the property prices have been soaring for a long while. So can that sort of trend play out, or will the B2B models or B2C or other models, they will still survive?
Can I just, yeah. Now, B2C is here to stay. I mean, e-commerce is definitely going to grow, but your brick and mortar is definitely here to stay. Second is the whole store experience is going to change. So most of the brands are going to use more of these type of, expensive stores to be more of an experience store. For example, in Derby, what we're trying to do is we're trying to bring in the clothing line, what we sell offline, Derby Men. Under the banner of Derby Jeans Community, we also have a tailoring unit that we have, Derby Tailor Shop, where we handcraft tailored jeans. That's one of the sustainable ideas that we have. How do we ensure, making products that consumers need, They have fit finish, which is a huge vacuum market, and also make T-shirts. There's blank T-shirts. Print what you want, your message right there in front of you, along with the coffee shop. So the entire experience within the store of 3,000-4,000 square feet is going to be all about denim, but going to be a different experience that is seamlessly being put in together. So a customer walks in there, looking at it, able to experience the art behind the craft. So they get to meet the artisans, they get to meet the entire denim culture, which is still not there. And when you get such experience, then people want to flock to these places, and they also become a point through which the brand grows, and your ways to sell is not only through the retail out there, but also online. So that's how it's going to shift over a period of time through experience stores.
Yeah. Just to add, the retail is basically two aspects. One is offline, online. In the long run, next 10, 15 years, what we are seeing is retailers and brands are coming closer to the consumer. So a lot more development happening in rural, Tier 2, Tier 3 cities. And omni-channel is going to become the biggest player in this field. A lot of big brands already started. Customer now have an experience of shopping online. How can we deliver it faster? So now, I'm sure people who are in the city now, we know quick commerce. Through omni-channel, even brands, as business, we are also now setting up a omni-channel business. Every single city where we have a store, any orders coming to the customer from that city will be delivered from that particular store. So offline and online, both will coexist. Omni-channel will be the player going forward.
I was just going to say that all said and done, fashion at the end of the day is a touch and feel industry, right? So that aspect always comes in where the user does want to see the product. The user is willing to go and make the trip to see the pieces. I think the big thing is to kind of balance out rising property costs, or even actually, acquisition costs on online space are shooting up, right? Is to kind of see how do you use all these channels together to create a great experience for the consumer, which eventually leads to profitability in the business, right? So if your store is being used as a way to get new users in, build that trust, can your online channels be used for retention and engagement? Or if your online channel is a way that a user discovers you, can they actually come to the store to have a better experience, as Vijay said, and the sales per customer goes up. So you have to kind of figure out, I think, how do you use these channels together? I don't think one channel is going to go down versus the other. In fact, India in general has always had the majority of fashion sales happening offline. And this trend has now come back into place. It was there was a little bit of a blip during COVID, but now again, most sales are happening offline. And even worldwide, that trend has actually come back where sales are happening offline versus more of online.
Ma'am, just a small follow-up question. It's very imperative that logistics costs are going to rise further down the line. And usually customers are, as you said, they are getting a feel of buying things, clothes, or most of the stuff online. So in that case, can most of the brands prefer to go for the online mode? Since they are already, the main focus at that point would be that we should deliver the product as fast as possible. And if they are already used to shopping online, then they can just scroll through the catalog, and then reverse logistics can also come into the picture. So can that be a thing that in the future?
So, most brands do have a presence online already, right? I think I missed the panel earlier, but one of the things that was discussed is that the barriers to entry for an online business today are next to nothing. It really takes nothing for you to set up a store online. You go do a Shopify site in one day and you're ready. Getting logistics is actually something you can connect through Shopify. I feel like I'm actually working for Shopify, but any of these platforms as such, right? You don't have to do any of this on your own. So there's nothing really that stops a brand in that sense from going online. What can stop brands from going online, one of the things I have heard, especially in premium categories, is that they do not want to deal with returns, or they will say flat out no to returns. Right? Because that's not the logistic cost, it's actually the inventory holding cost that actually becomes a big disaster for them. So, I actually think there's nothing to hold a brand back from the logistics. All of that is very easy to figure out. It could be the nature of the business, it could be the nature of the product. It could be, in some cases I've heard when you have extremely expensive products, right? Even if the user's an NRI, They may check out stuff online, but the final purchase decision happens offline in the store. They won't buy the product online at all because they will be concerned about how it feels, how it looks on them, and that decision, if it's like, you're doing anything about a 30K spend or something like that, they will come offline and they will purchase. They will figure everything out online though.
Yeah, thank you, Kuntal. So being a consultant, let me throw some numbers to add to your question. With all the hype around online, only overall retail, which is $900 billion market, only 10% of it is still in India is online. And it is not expected to go more than 20-25% in next 10 years. So offline is here to stay. Both are going to coexist. Today morning, I think Harsh had mentioned, he threw one number, Kantar or Nielsen research said that 85% of the people shop offline and or they are online plus offline. There are only 5% people who are only online shoppers, right? So the consumer behavior is also a mix of the two. So if the consumer behavior is not changing, you need to be offline as well. And if you read about it, every D2C brand has got offline plans. Anybody who wants to become a 100, 200 crore brand, you can be a D2C brand up to 20, 30, 40 crores. Beyond that, you need to be offline as well. So both are channels to reach to a consumer, and consumer is there everywhere, right? So consumer is like God, everywhere, omnipresent. So I think with that, we could conclude now. Thank you for patient listening. Thank you for my panelists. Very enriching, I think thoughts we have shared. I hope you all had some learnings to take out of it. Thank you.